Fire, 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 fire.
Tipping banks, the new way billionaires steal from the poor. I'm gonna be honest, I am so sick of tipping culture as someone who lives in America. It's kind of insane. I hate it. It's everywhere. Like, you go to the bakery and it's like, would you like to give us a tip? And I'm like, you didn't. You just gave me the bread. Like, I literally saw you. You grabbed the bread out of the thing, like the stall or whatever, and then I handed it to you, and then you put it in a bag, and then you want me to fucking tip you? Oh my god, it just sets me off. All right, let's watch it. I get irritated thinking about it. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, boom.
Imagine you're broke. You've been working hard, but there's still a week until payday and you've got nothing left.
Oh,
then
gosh.
you see some fast-growing apps offer advances on your next paycheck.
Cash
If
from
you
the
make an
future.
account,
I always think since I was a little kid, I remember seeing those ads where it's like, just get cash now and then pay back later, and I'm like, so it's a loan, but like, so it's a loan. How is it not a loan? And it's like, no, it's cash from the future. Like, how is that different from a loan? Loans are kind of a scam too.
they
That
can give
is
you
a
a
scam,
short-term loan
chat.
to get by. Then they'll only collect when you next get paid without charging any interest. With over half of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, it sounds
So
too
sad.
good to be true.
True.
But these apps are reaching millions of new people and growing
How?
nearly 50% every year.
This is a lack of financial literacy being taught in our schools, man. Oh my god.
So what's the catch? Well, it all revolved around tipping. Instead of charging interest, apps like Dave added a 15% tip to the bill when they came to collect. Despite claiming it was optional, this fee was added without the knowledge of lots of their customers. If they didn't challenge it when they saw it later on, it was almost impossible to get it back. These tips didn't go to any of the app's employees directly. This isn't some service worker who's struggling to make ends meet getting a few extra bucks for a job well done. This was a multi-billion-dollar financial company asking its struggling customers for tips. But again,
This is what I was saying. Like, McDonald's asking for tips. I don't know if McDonald's does. I don't think it does. But there's so many multi-billion-dollar companies that ask for tips.
it's even worse.
You get
On
taught
top
in
of that hidden
schools
fee, Dave would
sometimes.
show his customers this screen. You're probably already familiar with this kind of menu from the swivel tablet at your local coffee shop, but this one's even worse. As you decrease the tip percentage, the amount of food on the little girl's plate shrinks. Eventually,
This is so bizarre.
she's left with an empty plate for a 0% tip. The implication is clearly that the service wouldn't even exist without tips.
This kind of reminds me if you like go to Trader Joe's or something. It's like, would you like to tip? Would you like to round up to give to kids in starving and in need, or do you want to like sponsor a hamster to go to university? And it's like, no, I just want to buy my groceries so I can eat tomorrow. I hate it so much when they do that. Yeah, hamster.
By not tipping, you're both taking away food from starving kids while also closing the door behind you for people who might need the same thing.
How about we take the CEO and just skim, like, I don't know, the top 1% of their income and then give that to starving children? I feel like that would be a really good thing to do. Yeah, just 1%. It's not that much.
One day. Of course,
Yeah,
it
they
was
make
all
billions
smoke
of
and
dollars. What do
mirrors.
they
As a
need it
later
for?
FTC investigation revealed, a tiny fraction of each tip actually went to charity. The rest went straight to the corporation, as Dave hoovered up nearly $150 million in tips from 2022 to mid-2024. That was when the FTC forced them to switch to a fee-based system. It's insane that this could even happen. The fact that it did points to a massive problem in America that nobody wants to talk about: tipping culture.
Yeah.
Through a combination of social pressure,
Came from slavery, by the way.
pre-allocated service charges and hidden fees, the average American spends nearly $500 every year on tips alone. It's a large amount by itself, but that's the average taken from the whole of the country. In the biggest cities, tipping is completely out of hand. If you aren't careful, the average day in an American city can drain you dry.
Yep.
First, there's the morning coffee. Lots of chains have swapped the voluntary tip jar for the tablet instead. That's an extra $1 or
Yep.
$2. Then if you ever take an Uber or taxi, there's another few dollars on the tip.
Yep.
Lots of lunch places now ask for tips too, even if it's pretty much self-
McDonald's and KFC! Oh my god! God. Thank God. I don't think I've ever seen at McDonald's asking for a tip, but I bet you some places do.
Service.
Not my
if
Big
you tip them, that's
Macs.
another $5 to $10. Another
That's
Uber, another coffee,
crazy.
another few dollars for each. Maybe you order dinner.
I'll tip the Uber. Yeah, I tipped DoorDash drivers and Uber drivers and stuff. But even then, do you know what's the sad part is that they still don't get like most of it. Yeah, I read somewhere, or I remember watching a video where it's like the actual money that they get is like still not like good enough. Even though you're tipping them an amount.
The delivery driver will be expecting a tip. If you go to a bar in the evening, then that adds up massively too. A couple bucks for each drink and you can easily spend far more than you ever intended.
Oh my
And soon enough, you're spending hundreds of dollars each month just on tips. And the worst thing is, this has really only happened in the past decade, and it's speeding up exponentially. But before we continue, have you ever wanted to turn your gaming time into real money? Well, let me show you how. Free Cash is a completely free platform where you can earn money by playing mobile games, completing surveys, and trying out offers. It's one of the most trusted apps in its space with a 4.8 star rating on Trustpilot, so you know it's the real deal. So let me walk you through how it works. I open Free Cash on my phone, scroll through the offers, and pick one that looks fun. I'm choosing this game, Call of Dragons, as it's super quick and mixes kingdom building, large scale battles, exploration, hero management, and mythical beasts. It all plays out on a fully 3D world map with both PvP and PvE content. Then I come back to Free Cash and I see it tracks my progress, and I see my balance go up right away. However, make sure you enable app tracking so you don't miss out on rewards. Here's me actually playing. You can see my progress in-game and my earnings stacking up in Free Cash at the same time. It's simple, and you can do this while watching TV, commuting, traveling, or even just standing in line. And then when I'm ready to cash out, I can withdraw straight to PayPal, grab an Amazon gift card, or even crypto. If you want to try yourself, sign up using my link or the QR code on screen. You'll even get a $5 bonus just for starting your first offer. That's basically free money waiting for you. And the more offers you complete, the more rewards you unlock, so don't miss out on that $5 sign up bonus. As Free Cash makes turning your downtime into extra cash easy, rewarding, and fun. So use my link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen to start earning today. Carried along by contactless payments and corporate pressure, America's toxic tipping culture is going international. For most of the world, tipping used to be an optional bonus, something you'd give for extra good service.
Exactly.
Even in the US, where this all began, tipping was only customary for some jobs. Waiters,
Is he gonna talk about how he actually derived from slavery or not?
bar staff and some other service professionals relied on tips because of a lower minimum wage. When it came to getting a meal, a drink, a haircut, or a ride, you were generally expected to tip. In lots of states, it was just cultural. Someone working at McDonald's might make the same minimum wage that a waiter would make, but you'd expect less from a fast food worker and they wouldn't get a tip because of it. For some jobs, it was just different. And it tells us that tipping culture in the best of cases is directly linked to the quality of service. Even if it's culturally expected, it should still be proportional. If your waiter does a better job than average or you've known your barber for years, you might give them a little extra. When the service is poor or non-existent though, you aren't expected to still tip 20%. For most of the world, this was how—
Highlights did say servants, but look, I'm not about to get into like actual slave culture, but that actually is where it derived from. It just transitioned from like slaves that you had to people that you worked in the business. That's how it came. That's where it derived from. Servant and slave isn't the same thing.
Some cultures like Japan frown upon tipping entirely. In lots of ways,
it's insulting.
Incredibly freeing. They don't have to worry about making sure people are paid enough, they're never guilt-tripped, they don't feel that frustration of having to give more money away, and they never have to think about when it's appropriate to tip or tipping the right amount. And so it boggles the mind on how we ended up with the tipping culture of today.
Because it's really easy and it's like an easy way for them to make money. That the people that get what blows my mind for like making a drink or something like at Starbucks, do they actually get money from that? Who gets the tip? The person who took the order or only the person that took the drink? Or is it just everyone gets like a split share? I don't understand how that functions. I've never worked at Starbucks, but like, huh?
Take a look at this video of a DoorDash driver stealing a customer's food after they had the nerve to
It's pooled? But what if one person doesn't do their fucking job well? See, that's what that actually pisses me off even more. What if one person, say, like, one person takes the order, one person hands the order, and then one person makes the drink, and what if the drink sucks, and then that person still gets money? Yeah, it's stupid. That's so dumb.
Tip
I hate
$8.
that.
I drove 40 minutes and it was extremely far and I got it to you early. I think you need to adjust your tip to make it right. You gave an $8 tip.
What the hell are you looking for? I gave an $8.
Okay, I'm gonna bring the food back. I'm gonna bring the food back. Okay.
So where did this sense of entitlement come from? Well, you
Pause. You know what tip you're gonna get when you take the order. For those that don't DoorDash, you literally know what you do before you get the job. Like, you get advertised like, hey, this is $8. Do you want to take the order? Why did she do that? Then let someone else take the quote-unquote low tip. Yeah, you're just fucking stealing.
You could just explain this as some people are just entitled, but in fact the problem goes way deeper than that. While some people are just awful, others are being manipulated, and for the most part the people working cannot be blamed for this, as American tipping culture has seemingly turned the employee against the customer in the worst way possible, and now it's just leaking into the rest of the service economy. This began in a system that lots of states used to exploit low-paid employees. In Texas or North Carolina, for example, wages can be as low as $2.13 an hour.
Awful.
The national minimum
What the
tipped
hell?
wage. As long as employees get at least $20 in tips per month, it's legal to pay them this tiny fraction of the living wage. With jobs few and far between, some people would take these kinds of jobs hoping that the tips will cover the difference.
$2 an hour,
Tipping in these
let's
states was technically
go.
optional, but in effect, it was mandatory. If you personally didn't tip, then you were messing with your waiter's livelihood. You were treading on the working class. If they didn't make tips, their wage wouldn't even cover the tax on their paycheck. Add another cost and they were paying to work, all because you didn't tip. This system is
Yeah, and it puts the pressure on the customer / consumer instead of the employer who should be paying them money.
exploitative at best, and it only benefits the owners. The customer is then put in a position.
And because the person who's also like likely purchasing the food or whatever, because they've been in that position, they feel morally obligated, or at least some people do, like me, where it's like, I feel obligated almost, you know?
Where that optional tip is the only part of the bill that actually goes to the person they see. Meanwhile, the server is at the mercy of each individual customer. Relying solely on tips means if the customers are frugal and don't want to spend an extra 20% all the time, then the people working may never actually make enough money to live.
Yeah.
Luckily for the rest of the world, this was never such a big problem. When restaurants and other businesses actually pay a living wage regardless of tips, service staff could easily make a good living. In fact, before rents and the cost of living went sky high, people could support entire families off of the system. But it wasn't going to stay like this forever. Over the 2010s, tipping culture began to expand in the US. It began with waiters, barbers, and other people who had been traditionally tipped for decades, but it soon expanded to coffee shops, fast food places, takeout shops, and even
I think that freaking... I would argue because you're a person that makes food and like touches food, I guess you could argue it, but then like, why don't the chefs get tips at restaurants? Why is it the waiters getting tips? You know what I'm saying? Like, you get into like this kind of like moral like high grounding. It's like, well, you're a chef but you don't get tipped, but you're a bartender who touches drinks all day, so like, where's the fucking line, you know?
Grocery stores. Now it's coming to countries like the UK.
Sometimes they do split it with the kitchen, but it's not a solid rule is what I'm saying. It's not like a definitive. I know what you're trying to say. Like, sometimes they do, but it's like, it's not a flat all for everyone.
Culture used to just be reserved to a few specific jobs in the UK. People happily tip waiters or hairdressers, and traditionally people even gave a postman a bonus at Christmas. But now in London you can barely buy a packet of gum without being asked for a tip or a charity donation or both.
Oh my god.
So why did this happen? Well, in large part it was thanks to the tips. A lot of the time they'd get them.
Hopper tip. What the hell is oh, this is like a hotel thing. Hopper is like a person who brings your suitcases to your room, isn't it? Yeah. Cancel for any reason. VIP support. What the hell is VIP support? What?
Imagine you're running an ice cream shop and you install card machines that ask for a tip before taking payments. Because
oh my god, I actually got ice cream like 3 weeks ago from like an ice cream shop, and like, you're just scooping ice cream, man. It makes me so annoyed when I like go get myself something nice and it's like, yes, I have to pay an extra $2 on top of it.
because it's all digital,
Yes,
you can figure out how much
man.
the average person tips. Add that on
Yeah. They're standing there and then they look at you and you're like, and you know exactly, you know where your hand is going because the no tip one is always at the very bottom. Yeah, the no tip one is always at the bottom and they know exactly when you're gonna hit it.
You never really take your employees' tips, you end up taking all the profit after a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the consumer pays more and the employees get the same amount they would have gotten anyway. So why didn't this happen before? Any business owner could have done pretty much the same thing 50 years ago if they wanted to. From a profit-orientated perspective, it's a complete no-brainer. Well, the answer is the technology. Businesses only recently got the chance to sneak tipping into any business interaction they liked. Try the same tactics without a touchscreen card reader and you'll see that ice cream shop owner
because you're not thinking about it. That's another thing. I've always wanted to like say this, but I think that cash culture what made you more frugal and more aware of your power as a customer because you physically had something in your hand as opposed to you just swiping something and just forgetting about it. That's how gotchas work too. Gotchas and like swiping games, you don't realize how much you're spending because you're just swiping your fucking card over and over and over again. As opposed to like if you're feeding in $5 into a vending machine, you'll start to realize how many times you've put $5 into the vending machine. %, service bill built into the bill and had the gall to ask for a tip. That's outrageous. That's criminal. I'd honestly argue that's like actually like what is it called? Like misleading. Yeah. Yeah, that's like the fact that you're asking for a tip on top of that, that's misleading.
customer with
That's
this new
fucked.
technology. Instead of having a yes or no option, you can just give them a few different percentages. Before this used to be 10, 15 and 20%, but just like prices, it keeps inflating. In some cities in America, 20% is often the smallest number they give you. Don't want a tip? It's optional of course, but you can make it a pretty awkward option for your customers. The employee will know where 0% is on the options menu and they'll know which one you tapped. You can even make people specifically have to tap custom, then make them type in 0% in front of everyone. It all serves to humiliate and guilt trip the customer if they don't want a tip. Meanwhile, the employee is pitted against the customer. If the tip makes up a large percentage of their earnings, they're now under financial pressure. It's now in their interest to help pressure the customer so that they can make their living. Contactless payments is also to blame. It's so far from the experience of actually handing over money that $1 or $2 extra makes no difference whatsoever. You'll just get the same beep sound. People might rationally know that they're paying extra, but in that moment, it's a psychological decision between an awkward situation and a smooth experience.
For me personally, I fucking hate it. The guilt tripping. It just drives me wild.
Corporations won't care about that. They're making too much money from the wages.
There was a time, I'm pretty sure, which this is illegal by the way, but I didn't have substantial proof. There were people behind me and I was buying something, and you know how the things popped up and I pressed no tip and it wouldn't work. I did it 3 times and it wouldn't let me, so I panicked and I put $1 in or whatever. And I sat for a moment. I'm like, do you know that's actually illegal, not like letting you press no? I really want to go back there one day. It was like coffee or something from a shop, and I was like, you can't do that. That's illegal. I was wondering, maybe I didn't press it hard enough, but next time, I think if I ever go there ever again, I'm gonna try and see if it's actually a thing. Because it might have been my mistake, because I tried and tapping it 3 times and it made me panic, but like, I don't know. I have no like definitive proof of them doing that. It was 1 time.
Don't have to pay, even if it sours the experience for people and they slowly lose their customers.
Yeah, I might. I don't know. It was really iffy. I never went back there again.
In fact, it might make them squeeze the remaining customers even more. So with the introduction of these kinds of payment systems, lots of existing businesses could just adopt them. They could use them to keep their pay low because of the tips, then enjoy the profits. As it becomes more common, more businesses caught on and it spread even further. American chains had success in bringing it into other countries as well across the 2010s. The more Americanized the city, the easier it was.
Yeah!
That's why places like London are almost
No! Europe, no!
as bad as America now. Soon enough, the homegrown businesses started to catch on as well, and it just became normal.
Europe,
This is just
no!
one
Fight
aspect of tipping
back!
culture, and it shows how it can be used to increase profits on a massive scale. Other companies took it even further though. While big cities transitioned to a cash-free economy, tech companies like Uber and DoorDash also found out how useful tipping culture could be to their bottom line.
I want to say it's a nice house for a $5 tip. Oh my god. I hate that so much. I know you're pissed, but like, you don't know. Maybe I got it from my dead grandma. You fucking idiot. That's why you have to control your emotions. You have to. Like, you can't do this. You don't know.
In most of the West, Uber drivers and DoorDash
God.
delivery drivers aren't technically employees. Legally, they're self-employed contractors,
Yeah, they're
members
like
of the gig economy.
freelancers.
They get paid a flat rate per delivery, increasing slightly based on demand, distance, and other factors determined by algorithms. Even during the lockdowns when these apps were so popular, the basic business model wasn't profitable at all. So after the venture capital funding ran out, the tech companies began to squeeze as much money out of the apps as possible. That means taking money from the restaurants while also shorting the delivery drivers. They also mark up prices in the apps while also adding tons of extra fees as a form of price partitioning. But the most important part of their strategy is the tipping culture they've created.
Orders with no tip might take longer to get delivered. Are you sure you want to continue? And you know what I know the best part is that there's no option of like saying that you're gonna give them cash in person, so that you know that at least you're giving money to the person that's getting that's doing the delivery. It's actually kind of heinous that they don't even have an option like that.
These companies have been sure to make it a massive part of their system. First, they encourage people to tip before they've actually received the food. They make it seem normal, even expected. In the app, there are colorful graphics when you add a tip. Sometimes not adding a tip can even put you at the back of the queue. Just check out this video of all the orders backing up.
Oh my god.
DoorDash is happy to send out the
Holy.
order, take the payment, and let the restaurant start making it. But they won't pay the drivers enough to make driving 4 miles worth it.
Exactly.
They're smart about it too. Their focus on tipping culture within the process means that
so
the frustration
bad.
from the drivers is put onto the customers. The implication is that if they don't make enough, it's because they aren't getting tipped enough. So drivers get really angry if they're spending tons of money on gas, maintenance, and other costs just to get almost nothing from the actual delivery. The frustration then bubbles over and people act out, and sometimes they turn that frustration onto the customer.
Nice house for a $5 tip.
Yes, dude.
You're welcome.
DoorDash reacted to this clip by banning the driver and calling it a problem solved. Sure, the guy was clearly entitled, but it was DoorDash's greed that caused the whole problem of low pay in the first place. Tipping culture pits the workers and the customers against each other. It puts the focus on paying a fair wage onto the consumer when really it's the company's responsibility. But when the delivery drivers are angry at the consumers and vice versa, it takes the emphasis off of the company.
It's a war of the classes. It's so it irks me so much, man.
The technological
The delivery fee that you pay to DoorDash, that's like at the end of at the top of your bill, and then on top of that, the tip doesn't even go to the DoorDash driver. I found that out like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, that's fucking whack.
That created the delivery app system also made the life
So
of a
evil.
delivery driver far worse. Before, they were mostly actual employees. Outside of certain US states, they had a proper minimum wage. Any tips were a bonus on top of that. But now America's predatory tipping culture has replaced all of this. Now they have to grind as much as possible to ensure they make enough to get by. The only way to win is not to play. However hard they pressure you, tipping will always be optional. And it isn't even immoral or wrong to not tip in these kinds of exploitative scenarios. In fact, tipping might make one person's life feel a little bit better.
DoorDash driver gets mad over low tip. Then why did you take it? Why did you take it then? I'm sorry, what? You even know what tip you're gonna get. Yeah, I'm the nice kind of person that when there's like when there's horrible weather outside, I always give a lot. Like, I don't know. I'm part of the problem, but at the same time, it's like, you don't have to, chat. If you don't tip, like, that's fine. Yeah, if you can't tip because you're poor or you don't want to, I get it. I get it.
But it also fuels the whole
But I do
exploitation
it.
machine as well. Which all goes back to the very first example we showed you, the banking app Dave.
It's
Tipping
fucked.
culture is how they made their millions, duping people into thinking they were actually helping someone. Dave's CEO Jason Wilk was aware of all of this. It's what made his company worth billions of dollars. Through a mixture of deception and manipulation, they pushed tipping culture to its absolute limits. And while the FTC might have put a stop to some of their shady practices, they aren't going to punish them at all, really. Or even take back any substantial amount of the money they squeezed out of their desperate customers.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse if people don't draw their own personal lines in the sand. If you're having a meal out or getting a haircut, it's probably a good idea to tip. But buying into the idea that it's mandatory...
This, priority tag, taxes, service fee. Are you kidding me?
Supporting
Are you out of
businesses
your
that make it
mind?
seem that way only makes things worse. So make your own decision and don't let them make
And then to top it off, if you order DoorDash, you're paying premium for a fucking meal. If you go to McDonald's and you look at the same price for the food, it's actually like $2 to $3 more on DoorDash on top of all the fees, because you don't understand that you're paying more for it because you don't remember what it costs normally. It's ridiculous.
it for you.
Yes, compare the menu prices with the online prices. It's night and day. Fucking crazy, man. Yeah, this video made me mad. Fun fact, the Domino's guy with the dreads that hit over the empty boxes, the Miles Morales TikTok NPC guy. Yeah, look at him now. He's crazy.
Fire, fire, fire,